Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for tonight's hearing on the city's 2024 proposed operating budget for the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. My name is Emmanuel Remy. I'm happy to chair this committee along with my vice chair, Shayla Favor. I want to thank her for being here along with Councilmember Melissa Green. I'd like to begin by thanking Mary Ginther and all of the City of Columbus staff that are responsible for the proposed budget in front of us here tonight. We know how much work goes into this proposal, and we are very, very grateful for your hard work. I'd also like to thank and introduce our invited presenters this evening. From the City Attorney's Office, we have Deputy Chief of Staff Brian Shin, Deputy Chief of Staff for Prosecution Melanie Tobias. From the Department of Public Safety, we have Dan Giangardella and Assistant Director Tricia Winsel. For the first time, we're excited to have Deputy Director Joanne Lunsford from our new Office of Violence Prevention. We also welcome Jacqueline Hendricks, our city's first Inspector General, and I see Mr. Blunt back there as well, the Deputy Director. And last but not least, we have Franklin County Municipal Courts represented, I believe, tonight by Judge Eileen Paley, and the municipal court the clerk is going to be represented by Clerk Lori Tyak. We want to thank all of you for your dedication, leadership, and for taking the time to present on each of your respective department as part of this budget proposal. I'd also like to thank Vice Chair Favor for being here and Council President Hardin and all my colleagues for the work that we're doing to get this out, the budget out to the public before we take our vote in February. This hearing is 4 of 5 of the operating budget hearings hosted by City Council this cycle. Today, we will be covering the operating budget proposals for the departments and offices that correspond with the newly formed Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. As chair of the committee, the safety of our residents is my #1 priority. I often say there's just nothing else without public safety, and it really starts with that. So it takes a collective effort. It takes our city, but also all of our great organizations that we partner with, our faith leader, community leaders, families throughout our community to really make a difference and let people know these are our streets and we will not tolerate crime within the city of Columbus. We've made some great strides over the past few years reimagining safety in our city, but we still have a lot of work to do. I'm looking forward to hearing tonight to hear from all the departments and offices and what they're planning to do in the year ahead with the resources to advance the safety and well-being of our residents, from our neighborhoods to our streets and within the criminal justice and judiciary system itself. Before we get started, let me ask if my vice chair has any comments.
Thank you, Councilmember Remy. You know, understanding the importance of public safety is crucial in fostering strong and resilient communities. As previous chair of the Criminal Justice and Judiciary Committee and my work as an attorney, I have been invested in this space throughout my career. I am proud of the work of the department, the mayor's office, and city council as we continue to be innovative in this space. As our community grows, we must meet the needs to ensure that safety means safety for everyone. I look forward to vice chairing this committee alongside you and working closely with the director, the city attorney's office, our judges, and our clerk of courts. I will now turn it back over to you, Councilmember Remy.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair, and also want to recognize the Director of Public Safety, Ms. Kate Pisciotti in the back there, and all of her team that have joined us here tonight. We are very thankful for the contributions that you make to make our community safe. We're going to kick off this evening's hearing with a presentation from the City Attorney's Office, and so I will go ahead and turn it over to Deputy Chief of Staff Brian Shin.
Thank you, Chair Remy, Vice Chair Favor, Councilmember Green. I am Deputy Chief of Staff for City Attorney Zach Klein, and I am joined tonight with our Deputy Chief of Staff for Prosecution, Melanie Tobias Hunter, and we are honored to have the opportunity to present our 2024 budget request. Under the city charter, the city attorney is legal advisor of and attorney and counsel for the city and for all officers and departments thereof in matters relating to their official duties. The city attorney also serves as the prosecuting attorney of the municipal court and shall prosecute or defend for and in behalf of the city all complaints, suits, and controversies in which the city is a party. The office is divided into 2 divisions for the purposes of the budget. The City Attorney Division, which is funded mostly from the general fund, and the Real Estate Division, which is funded from both the general fund and from the land acquisition fund. Within these two budgetary divisions, there are 9 legal sections plus our administrative section. These sections include our general counsel section, our litigation section, labor and employment, police legal advisor, solicitor general, real estate, claims division, property action team, which was formerly known as the Zone Initiative, and our prosecution division. We have a total of 184 employees as of December 2023, which includes 72 attorneys, 77 full-time administrative and support staff, and 35 part-time support staff. Our 2024 budget request essentially is a continuation budget from our 2023 approved budget without any significant changes to the funding of our divisions or programs. However, our budget request includes 3 expansion requests. The first is for an additional litigation paralegal. Given the increase in case filings the last few years related to the city's continued growth and to public safety matters, with council and the mayor's administration's support, we have added additional attorneys to our litigation team. We now have a closely related need for additional support staff for our litigation attorneys to manage the increased caseload better. So therefore, we are requesting an additional funding to hire another full-time experienced paralegal to support our litigation team. Within our property action team, again, formerly known as the Zone Initiative, with the number of police zones increasing to 6, and with council and the mayor's administration support, we added an additional attorney to focus on nuisance abatement issues in the neighborhoods in the new police zone. However, the continued growth of the city places additional demands on our property action team to be active in the community, attending constituent and area commission meetings, as well as community events. Our property action attorneys attend as many meetings in the community as time and their schedules permit. But this community engagement must be balanced against the legal work they perform in court on a daily basis. We could better serve the community by having an additional staff member to attend more community meetings and events, including evening and weekend events, where they can educate the public on the work the property action team is performing. Our third expansion request is for additional travel funding. In 2023, City Attorney Klein was named as co-chair of Prosecutors Against Gun Violence, or PAGV, a national nonpartisan organization comprised of prosecutors from across the country who are seeking to reduce gun violence in their communities through their role in law enforcement. In June 2024, PAGV will host a 3-day in-person conference which will be planned and staffed by employees of the City Attorney's Office. Members of our staff also attend and present at the International Municipal Lawyers Association conferences to share strategy, methods, and information about how Columbus uniquely handles issues in our growing city, ranging from increased crime to economic development. We are seeking increased funding to cover travel and lodging for the staff who are asked to attend, present, and help execute these planned conferences. Our main mission is to carry out the duties and responsibilities prescribed by the Columbus City Charter and the Columbus City Codes as legal advisor, attorney, counsel, and prosecuting attorney in municipal court for the City of Columbus, to set the guiding principles for the legal and prosecutorial direction of the city's law department that focuses on ways to help improve the safety and progress of Columbus. City Attorney Klein continues to challenge himself and our team to think differently about how the legal system can help people and communities, whether that is ensuring a fair prosecution of misdemeanor crimes, using civil litigation to shut down nuisance properties, protecting civil rights, promoting social justice reform, or encouraging private sector investments to turn neighborhood blight into into neighborhood assets. Our goals for 2024 include to keep working to increase public safety for all Columbus residents by addressing nuisances that plague our neighborhoods and using our role in the justice system to hold those bad actors accountable. Our property action team attorneys know the communities they serve because they're there working in them every day. Meeting with neighborhood leaders, business owners, residents, and families to determine how to make our communities safer. Whether it's working with business owners to improve security or taking legal action in court, our goal is to help improve the quality of life in all of our neighborhoods. This year, we hope to even further expand our community engagement to ensure residents are connected to the critical services and resources available throughout the city of Columbus. Major challenges for 2024 and ahead and how the budget will address them include continuing an aggressive approach to holding problem landlords and business owners accountable for nuisance problems across the city. Year after year, our office shuts down a record number of drug houses and problem properties like dangerous gas stations, bars, and more. This budget, especially as it pertains to our property action team, helps us increase our community engagement to ensure that while we pursue legal action to hold bad actors accountable, we are helping connect residents with the resources available around the city. At the same time, we remain committed to our goal of making Columbus's criminal justice system more equitable, efficient, and impactful. Because of the investment by City Council to support our programs like Buckeye Diversion, we are able to continue working to identify and address the root causes of misdemeanor crime, whether it be food insecurity, mental health needs, drug use, and more. This program has been enormously successful, resulting in 80% success rate for participants who do not reoffend or return to our courtrooms. City Council support and expansion of Project Taillight and the owner-occupied initiative will help us continue to address those root causes of crime like poverty and to find ways to help residents avoid being cited or entering into the court system for issues with their car or home that may be resolved by being connected to the many resources available. We also expect to continue work on the many lawsuits related to gun violence as we work to promote and protect the gun safety measures put forth by City Council and Mayor Ginther to fight against the scourge of gun violence in our community. We are happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shin. Can you talk a little bit about how your zone initiative attorneys and others are working to deal with problem apartment complexes that we seem to constantly come up every single year, and how the additional personnel will help with this effort?
Yes, absolutely. Apartment complexes have been the focus of the city attorney's nuisance abatement work for the past several years. As rental rates and the need for affordable residential units continue to increase, more and more people are concentrated in apartment complexes. Historically, these apartment complexes have the highest concentration of violent crime and poor living conditions in the city, and most notably in recent years, Latitude 425, which is formerly known as Sawyer Towers, Colonial Village, and Wedgwood Apartments. Traditionally, we've focused on two aspects of life in apartment complexes. Number one, criminal activity, and number two, physical conditions. While some property management and ownership entities are willing to work with us voluntarily, we often have to resort to litigation to get the desired results. Over the past few years, we've learned that we cannot adequately address these two issues without addressing a third, community engagement. We have found that oftentimes the persons residing in the apartment complexes we engage with are significantly underserved, and there are a multitude of resources needed beyond just an upgrade in physical conditions and the implementation of traditional public safety measures. The goal of the community engagement we endeavor to execute is geared towards breaking down access barriers so that persons living in the apartment complexes we are engaged with are able to meet their basic needs, thus providing a level of sustained safety and stability in each community. To that end, our property action team attorneys have tried to implement comprehensive engagement plans at several complexes. We've spent the past 2 years trying to do this with our existing resources, including also multiple existing city departments. While this has been helpful, we found that our attorneys lack the time or the skill set to do this as well as we could. We found that there's no substitute for someone who is able to focus on apartment complexes both in and out of court. This position will allow us to leverage and collaborate with the existing resources throughout the city, develop measurable procedures to quantify and track our effectiveness in the neighborhoods in which we engage, and also to maximize our use of the nuisance abatement law to comprehensively address the most violent complexes in the city. We went through this same process implementing our owner-occupied initiative and found that by having someone in the property action team to coordinate existing resources, we were able to significantly magnify the effect of our nuisance abatement lawsuits.
Thank you very much. It's obviously important work these days. Can you also discuss how you budget for outside counsel and other services as it relates to litigation?
Yes, sir. The expense for outside counsel is actually usually borne by the city department involved. The city attorney's office does not have a specific budget line for outside counsel. When the need for outside counsel arises, it's usually due to a conflict of interest. We reach out to qualified attorneys and law firms who have the necessary experience. We enter into contracts for a set hourly rate and a maximum amount. When those contracts will exceed $50,000 or when they're modified, we seek counsel approval. Recently, City Attorney Klein, working with the purchasing department, issued a request for statements of qualifications to have a number of law firms submit their qualifications to represent the city in legal matters for which the city routinely needs outside counsel. One example would be in bankruptcy matters. By having these attorneys and law firms on contract at fixed rates, depending on the complexity of the matter, we believe we will be prepared to move forward quickly and have more manageable and predictable expenses. Also, we felt important to mention regarding settlements of lawsuits and potential lawsuits. Our chief litigation attorney, Wes Phillips, routinely meets with staff with the Department of Finance and Management to keep them informed regarding lawsuits and potential lawsuits that we believe it is in the best interest of the city to settle. Finance and Management identifies the funding available from the city and department involved to pay for any settlements. Those settlements are then approved by council by the adoption of an ordinance.
Thank you very much. Yes, Vice Chair Faber.
Thank you, Councilmember Remy. If, Mr. Shin, if we could just stay in that line of questioning there. We have seen an increase in settlements over the last few years. I know that it's hard to put a number on it, but do we have an idea of where we could potentially be in 2024? And is the answer the same? Will the settlement come from whatever department we could be settling on behalf of?
Councilmember Faber, I appreciate your question. It would be very difficult to put a number on that, so I apologize for that. But yes, any settlements that would happen in 2024 of any existing litigation or any new lawsuits that are filed would follow the same model that I talked about, where we would sit down with the Director of Finance and Management and her team, and we would identify the funds in the city departments involved that would be used to pay for that settlement.
Thank you for that. And I learned something new, that the zone initiative is no longer the zone initiative, but the property action team.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. City Attorney Klein, for several years, has wanted to rebrand the zone team. And it's not, so many people misconstrue zone and zoning that it's a common misperception. And we really want to focus on the good work that the team does with regard to properties and the nuisance abatement. And so after a long and drawn-out process, we did settle on property action team. And so we're all trying to keep working that into our talking points, and hopefully we will all become accustomed to using that property action team.
I'm going to give it the good old college try. It's going to be hard to change the language, but will the new property action attorney, we need like a little short one. Will the PAA, I don't know if that rings, whatever. Will the property action attorney, will there be a new property action attorney for Zone 6? I'm sorry.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
And
that is the new one.
Yes, we actually
Okay.
have already hired that position.
Okay.
But the additional person we're seeking would be a community engagement person.
Gotcha. Okay, wonderful. And there have been some record sealing efforts that the city attorney's office has embarked on over the last year or so. Just wondering if those efforts have put a strain on prosecution or for our folks over on the bench.
I will defer to Melanie Tobias on that one.
Thank you, Vice Chair Favor, Chair Remy, Councilmember Green. Yeah, the City Attorney Prosecutor Division endeavored when the General Assembly in April of this year passed legislation allowing a prosecutor's office to proactively seek to expunge or seal marijuana-related conviction records. The city attorney was very interested in getting on board with that and developing a process. We had to work with the clerk's office and the court. We worked very well together in coming up with a streamlined system in order to process those applications, determine who was eligible. We had to come up with a database of individuals. We worked with the Ohio State University Drug Policy Center to do that so that we could comb through and find individuals that had those qualifying convictions. The record sealing process has been expanding every year for the past decade through legislative efforts through the General Assembly. That does put stress on the court system, on the clerk's office. There are ever increasing numbers of individuals who qualify for record sealing and expungement, and the city attorney's office, city council, other public agencies have been making a concerted effort to advertise the availability of record sealing. So that results in what we want to see, which is more individuals taking advantage of that process, but it requires personnel and time in order to engage those efforts. So we did hire an individual to work with us part-time over the summer to help develop the prosecutor-initiated program, and it's still an ongoing effort to go through those records and find those individuals and file those applications on their behalf.
And does the office encumber those fees, or is it on? Is the individual have to pay the fees that might be associated with the record sealing process?
So the prosecutor-initiated effort that doesn't require any payment of a fee by the person whose record is being sealed. So the prosecutor's office bears the burden of those costs, though we did work with the court, and the court is not charging us a fee to file those applications.
Okay.
We came up with a very good process where we do the bulk of the work and finding those individuals, getting the applications filed, and doing the background checks. Individuals who on their own come in and want to file to seal their record do have to pay a fee unless they file an affidavit of indigency, in which case those costs, that fee can be waived.
Okay, thank you for that. And then last question, I know City Attorney Klein has been really diligent about expanding diversion efforts and different programs. Are there any new ones we could look forward to this year?
We are working right now within a 2-year pilot program with the Association of Prosecuting Attorneys to do what we call a deflection study. And that is an expansion of diversion to actually address individuals who are committing crimes or alleged to have committed crimes before they're even brought into the court system. And that would be, right now our diversion efforts, the individual's already been charged with a crime. They have a case number assigned to them, they have court dates that they need to appear to. In this project, we're working to identify individuals, and again, we're going to start in the area of merchant theft and hope to expand. But we're going to identify individuals that we could work with and try to deflect the criminal charge. So we're going to work with them at the very, very front end when they're first identified as committing the crime. No criminal case will be filed against them. They won't have to come to court. They don't have then that hanging over their heads while they're working with us. So the goal is to try to intervene and work with those individuals and get them before they even have to actually engage with the court system with an assigned case number and mandatory court appearances.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair Remy.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Faber. That's really all we have out of this committee, but I do want to say that it's been a real pleasure to partner on Operation Taillight, or Project Taillight, and look forward to working closely on that again. The results have been very remarkable, so excited to continue the cooperation. Next, we'll hear the presentation from the Department of Public Safety. And so I'll turn the floor over to Deputy Director Gian Gardella.
Thank you, Chair Remy. Members of Council, good evening. Thank you for allowing us to present some information regarding the Public Safety 2024 proposed operating budget. Public safety and the emphasis on neighborhoods remains a top priority of Mayor Ginther, as evidenced by the funding proposed in the budget, which totals $753 million, more than the which is about 6% more than the 2023 public safety budget. We also have about $1.5 million in E911 funds. Those go to support the Division of Support Services. The general fund budget allocates $389 million for police, $320 million for fire, and $27 million for support services, as well as just a little over $15 million for the safety administration. Major funding items in the department's budget include $19.9 million across multiple departments, including public health, recreation and parks, finance and management, to support the mayor's comprehensive neighborhood safety strategy, including $375,000 for the Community Crime Patrol, $50,000 for Central Ohio Crime Stoppers, $2.9 million for the Safe Streets Initiative, $847,000 for the ShotSpotter contract in police, $300,000 for neighborhood safety camera support, $250,000 for the TAPS program, $150,000 for the Kennedy Project, $2.9 million to support the body-worn camera system, $1 million for the Columbus Violence Reduction Program, and $200,000 in supplies and services to support the Wellness Center. In addition to that, as we'll see in a little bit, we have funding for both police and fire classes, 3 each, 50 police recruits in May, 50 in August, 50 in December. Similarly with fire, 3 recruit classes, 50 in June, 50 in September, and 50 in December. We also have the continuation of the cadet program, both in police and fire, with 20 cadets proposed each for police and fire. Altogether, also, the sworn overtime budgets for police and fire, approximately 16.7 for police and 13.7 million for fire. In addition, there are, again, funds in other departments in the overall general fund that will support public safety initiatives or address areas of community health. A majority of these funds are allocated to either the Comprehensive Neighborhood Safety Strategy Program or the Right Response Program, such as $1 million in citywide accounts to implement the Business District Safety Enhancements Program, $1.2 million in funding between public safety and Columbus Public Health to support the Right Response Unit, continued funding of the REACT, Spark, and the mobile crisis response teams in police and fire. With respect to light vehicles, the replacement of vehicles, police cruisers, and those type of vehicles, K-9 units, are typically funded in the Finance and Management Department. We work with Finance and Management each year to allocate those priorities in those vehicles. Total funding for the vehicles is usually determined by Finance and Management at a later date. In 2023, for instance, Fleet Management ordered 104 vehicles for public safety, totaling about $6.6 million. A portion of those units have already been delivered, and some of those are awaiting upfit presently at the Fleet Management Division. With the Safety Director's Office budget, again, of $15 million, it funds 85 full-time people and 8 part-time. Significant funding items in the Safety Director's Office are $2.3 million for the jail contract, $890,000 for the Franklin County EMA, $275,000 for the Columbus Humane Society, and $200,000 for the police and firefighter recruitment activities. The Support Services Division is responsible for a variety of critical functions, including the 911 Emergency Communications Center, Other responsibilities include license and permit issuance, as well as weights and measures certifications. Both the license and weights and measures groups will be transferring to the Department of Building and Zoning under the new budget when approved around April 1st of 2024. The Sports Services Division budget totals $27 million. Approximately, again, 1.6 of it is allocated from E911 funds. These are funds we receive through the state of Ohio and Franklin County for cellular fee charges across the state. Sports Services budget supports approximately 196 full-time positions. Again, significant contracts in support services include $560,000 for the CAD or computer-aided dispatch maintenance contract, $995,000 for the 800 megahertz radio system and technical support, $164,000 in annual maintenance support of the 911 phone system, and $280,000 for indigent burial. Division of Police, just a little bit under $390 million, or about 5% more than 2023. Again, as we talked about earlier, 3 classes of recruits. It is our hope that we will reach 1,975 officers and 270 civilian positions in the proposed budget. We also anticipate the potential hiring of 10 lateral transfers. Other major funding items for police: $1.8 million for the towing contract, $10 million for fuel and maintenance, $3.3 million for uniforms, and $876,000 for 15 additional positions, most of which are civilian positions: 2 records personnel, 5 impound lot positions, 3 crime lab, 2 fingerprint technicians, 1 criminal intelligence analyst, and 2 office assistants. The Division of Fire budget totals $320 million. Besides the additional classes as mentioned earlier, the budget includes ultimately 1,777 firefighters and 50 civilians. This would probably take us to an all-time strength in fire. Actually, we're probably at that point now, even as we ended 2023. Significant funding items in fire: $2.9 million for uniforms and turnout gear, $1.8 million for EMS medical supplies, $1.5 million for our EMS billing contract, $160,000 for our distance learning initiative, and again, $10 million for fuel and maintenance. In addition to that, there's $2.2 million in proposed expansion positions, 18 in total, 9 for EMS Bureau, 2 for recruit and cadet training, 2 for public information office, 1 for emergency preparedness and special events, 2 additional positions for fire prevention, and 2 for quality assurance and improvement. With respect to our equity initiatives, we have a number of programs to support racial and gender equity. We have the TAPS program, otherwise known as the Teen and Police Service Academy Mentoring Program. It's an 11-week course we've had for several years now, involving middle school youth, designed to help improve youth safety by teaching conflict resolution, avoiding sexual exploitation, and preventing bullying. The program helps reduce social distance between themselves and law enforcement. The Public Safety Corps program is designed for youth 14 to 20 years of age, those that might be interested in a career in law enforcement. This is also known as the Former Explorers program, which emphasizes physical fitness, civil rights, respect for the rule of law. This program allows individuals to ride along with an officer and have weekly interaction and hands-on training. The cadet programs, which are for both police and fire, again, as I mentioned, funded this year, again, to attract high school age youth adults in Columbus seeking a career in law enforcement or fire service. Both programs have been a pipeline of diversity that provides a paid internship designed to instruct and expose the cadets to academy training and the rigors of becoming a uniformed officer or firefighter. To date, we've had over 36 cadets who have joined public safety in the full-time ranks, most successfully in regards to firefighters. We also have the Columbus Police, who have partnered with Recreation and Parks and restarted what we used to call the Police Athletic League this past year. It is now called Inspire Sports and aims to teach the city's youth important skills through sports. The program moves beyond the game and uses sports to help youth develop skills needed to be successful in life. First responders mentor youth through sports leagues, tournaments, and similar events. Both police and fire have a number of community programs that they participate in or support, such as our police community liaison officers, National Night Out participation, Citizen Ride-Along, Citizens Police Academy, CPR and first aid classes, fire safety education, fire safe house program, smoke alarm distribution, holiday food distributions, and a variety of athletic events. Police and fire recruitment efforts is emphasis on candidates seeking a diverse background that have a passion for service to the community. I mentioned our cadet programs. We've had 64 individuals between police and fire pass through our cadet classes thus far. Our diversity numbers are over 70% when it comes to the individuals in those classes. And with respect to fire, we have, I think, brought on, as I said, just about a little over 40 of those individuals on a full-time basis. So they have been beyond our wishes, an excellent opportunity for us to attract people in the city of Columbus to come work for us. And we're very excited about continuing that. With respect to other diversity, with police, our June, this in the last 3 years, our June 2021 class had 53%. Our police December 2021 had 47%. Two of our most recent fire recruit classes, 113, had 50% diversity. In class 114, 24%. We're also one of the few departments in the city that have our own EEO officer, compliance officer, as well in the Division of Fire, created in 2023 as our Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Finally, public safety staff work closely with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion as well as the Office of Construction Management to attend and conduct vendor outreach sessions, especially on large capital improvement projects, such as police substation design, fire station design, and of course our public safety campus at Carolyn Piedmont, which is in design. As I mentioned previously, there's two parts of our organization that are proposed in the budget to be reorganized. One is the transfer of weights and measures and license from support services to building and zoning. This is obviously an attempt to continue our efforts to reorganize support services now that 2.5 years ago they took on supervising and managing the 911 center. And then, of course, there's a proposal to transfer the Columbus Violence Reduction Unit to the Office of Violence Prevention underneath the mayor's office. Again, both of those would affect around April 1st of this year. That concludes my comments on the budget, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director. Could you go a little bit deeper and talk a little bit about alternative response as it relates to police, fire, health for 2024, and like any efforts that we might be doing to scale some of those up even further?
Sure. So, yes, thank you, Chair Ramey, members of council. So as you recall, we've had several hearings with respect to alternative response over the last 2 years. Our most recent one, which I think was in October of this past year, where we provided council with an update and our accomplishments for the year. So I think we're most excited about a couple things. One is that 2023 was the first year that our right response unit, meaning the social workers in the call center, our first full year of having them Monday through Friday, 16-hour days. And of course, we saw that we were able to double the number of calls we were able to triage in that center. So, and we continue to see that approximately a third of all mental health calls that are triaged by the right response unit do not require a police response. So again, very excited about that. We also share with council, I think in October, the website, which I think we had up and running in June, and then we amended that and improved it with the help of the Department of Technology, so that now that site is up and running, and there is good information on there for the community, statistics, as well as information on how to get a hold of us and what our programs do, et cetera. We also, I believe in the fourth quarter of 2023, Council passed legislation for us to update our software protocol for EMS, and both EMS and for police response. That contract is signed. Training will be set up here in the first quarter of this year, and it's our hope that by summer we have all our individuals trained in the new software protocol. And I think we share with council one of the exciting things about that is where we've always had a protocol for EMS and fire response, we have not always had one for the police side. Obviously, our call takers and dispatchers go through 6 months of training, but they were never supplied an actual software protocol to sort of take them down through and ask all the pertinent questions. They've had to do all that via their training or rote memory. So this will be the first time that we're where the city's had that. So we're excited about that as well. And then also, I believe, late in the year, council passed legislation to provide some alternative response vehicles as well. So we got a lot accomplished in 2023, and we're not done yet. The things we've talked about before that council and administration have asked for, which is a nurse triage line. So we in the process right now of putting a request for proposal together, and we will hope to have that on the street here in the next several weeks, maybe certainly by the end of the first quarter, and begin to move forward with that as well. We would like to have our software protocol update done before we enter into the training phase for the nurse line, but we think that both of those will be up and running this year as well. We also have training software that we are looking at, as well as we have quarterly meetings with our partner in this, Columbus Public Health, and to look at our next steps. What are we going to do going forward now that we've accomplished some of these things that we set out to do in 2023? We're looking ahead to the nurse line. What are our next steps now for moving forward with alternative response in Columbus?
Thank you very much. I want to talk a little bit about alternative crisis response. How much is budgeted for that this year, and how does that compare with some of the efforts from last year?
Councilmember Remy, members of council, so we're probably approaching, when you look at the nurse line, et cetera, we're probably approaching about $8.5 million for this year when it comes to that budget. Part of that also is a grant that Columbus Public Health was able to secure through ADAM-H for new vehicles for our mobile crisis group and police. So up to this point, we were probably in the, I'd say, $6 to $6.5 million range. So our investment in that is going to be significantly higher in 2024 due to those things we talked about, the contract for the nurse line, additional vehicles, et cetera.
I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Faber.
I'm going to turn it right back over, but we just hosted the Health and Human Services Committee meeting, budget hearing last night, and did a wonderful job talking about the wonderful partnership between you all and the Health Department around alternative response. And so just wanted to know if that $8 million was split equally amongst the two departments, or is the lion's share truly carried by you all?
Yes, Chair Remy, members of council, Councilmember Faber, the majority of those funds are in public safety. However, we have, make sure I get my numbers right here, we have 6 full-time social workers, I believe 2 part-time social workers, and 2 social worker supervisors who are funded out of public health, and that probably totals, I would say, around $1 million. So, but when I give you those numbers, when I am including that funding as well. And you're right, the collaboration with them has been excellent. We're very excited about the work that Columbus Health has brought to this program, and they've been a great partner. Thank you.
I just have one more here. We're dedicating more resources this year to recruiting to keep up, with the number of police officers. Can you describe what the recruitment and retention strategy is for the coming year?
Yes, Chair Remy, members of council. So both police and fire for a long time have had a extensive recruitment program. And by that I mean whether it was attending job fairs, whether it was attending community events, whether there were hearings or meetings out in the community, you would oftentimes see police or fire out there trying to get individuals to sign up for civil service testing. In addition to that, several of our units in police and fire have done college visits over the years where they go to look for recruits as well. We're fortunate enough to get $1 million grant this past year, which we are going to use for recruitment, which was intended, we got the money for recruiting. We actually put a proposal out on the street to, look at revamping and helping us in our recruitment efforts. And I think we have 9 proposals that we received on that. So those are under evaluation, and looking forward to see what those funds and what those ideas would do to help us enhance our recruitment and retain individuals that we have out there.
And I guess a follow-up, we've got work to do on civil service. There's just no doubt about it. It's an impediment to hiring people that look like our community. What about our civilian side? Because there's so many people that work within our divisions that we have, we struggle to fill those roles. And so just if you could speak a little bit about that.
Yes, Chair Remy, members of council. So, I think we're sort of a victim of the economy and everyone coming out of COVID. And I'm sure we all sound like a broken record, but unfortunately, it's not just public safety. You look across the city of Columbus, and I mean the city entity, our government. We have hundreds of vacancies that are out there. So, you couple that with the economy and others that are looking for the same pool of workers oftentimes that we are. So, we're aware of the challenges that we have. We're fortunate that we are still attracting candidates to fill our positions. At times, we don't get the numbers that we used to for a lot of our tests. It has always been a collaborative effort between our HR group, civil service, et cetera, but it is something that is top of mind. There's constant dialogue about what can we do to attract and retain individuals. HR, the unions, this council has been part of a number of initiatives, and one of the example I can give you is that with respect to some of our positions, 911 call takers, dispatchers, I believe there were a number of other civilian positions that we were able to have our HR staff enter into some MOUs with ASME local, and we got some retention bonuses, we got some increases in pay. So there's just, I'm sure, constant dialogue behind what can we do to attract and retain. And unfortunately, these are just challenges we're seeing, across the economic spectrum at this point. But it is not something that we're giving up on, that's for sure.
Thank you for that. And it's exciting as we prepare for the Real-Time Crime Center. There's money in this budget for analysts that will start to fill those roles as we prepare, for that to open, a few years from now. So was excited to see that progress. Chair Faber, Vice Chair Faber.
Thank you, Councilmember Remy. There's $2.9 million in the budget to support body-worn camera program. Can you share the successes to justify this budgetary request?
Yes, Chair Remy, Councilmember Faber. So the monies that we see typically right now for body-worn camera are for ongoing maintenance, ongoing replacement, upgrade, cameras for new recruits. So we are on our second iteration of the body-worn camera system. The initial cameras that we had came in, I want to say, in 2016. And so I think it's been maybe a little over a year now that we have the second iteration of that. So, and by the way, it's been tremendously successful. The technology has improved greatly. The videos we're getting have improved. So basically, this is ongoing maintenance. You know, parts and pieces that we need, replacement items, and just continuing to store that video that we get.
What's the lifespan of the average camera? Do you know?
I think generally you look at about 3 years.
Okay.
Usually those are warranted for, about that time.
Okay.
I will say though, like I said, the technology changes a lot, and obviously we want to keep up with that. So, but the ones we've have been pretty robust, fortunately. So while, maybe the manufacturer might say 3 years, it doesn't mean you might not get longer than that. But again, I think we've had pretty good luck so far.
Wonderful. And you talked about it just a little bit in the presentation, but there's $200,000 allocated for minority recruitment. What are the additional tactics and strategies currently, and what are the current numbers looking like?
So what we'll do, I mentioned we have a grant for a contract, so we're going to look to see what ideas are out there, what should we be doing that perhaps maybe we're not doing. There's just something in social media that might enhance or help us. Strategies for the cadet program. We're in some areas we're more successful, for instance, in fire than we are in police. Can we look at that? What can we be doing to be more successful there? So the other part of those funds we can use for enhancements, things to attract individuals. What do I want to say? Gifts or promotional products as well. We can use that. We can use them for media buys. So it's pretty open-ended with respect to how we can use those funds.
Wonderful. And is that $200,000, does that go towards fire as well, or just purely safety?
Public safety. So we
Okay.
could, right, it could be used for police or fire. That is correct.
Okay. I'm not sure if you could answer this question, but I'll try. I was having a conversation with our folks in the fire division, and because I do a lot of work in the housing space, and someone mentioned to me that there is a firehouse crisis, meaning that as Columbus continues to grow, that it is putting a strain on all of our resources. That could be our safety resources, but definitely our fire resources as well. And the demand on and response time is compromised to some degree as increase for calls are coming about. And so I think that I saw on the slide that there was around 3 recruiting classes with about 50 folks aimed at that. Is that planning for the growth of Columbus, or is that stabilizing the numbers as folks are retiring?
Yes, Chair Remy, Councilmember Favor, members of council. So obviously there is a demand for our services across the city. With respect to fire, about 80% now are actually for EMS calls for service. And in fact, I think a statistic we talked about earlier today, as we're sitting here every hour, we have about 22 on average runs for EMS or fire.
Every hour?
22 runs per hour we get for fire on average. Police actually is around 55 to 60 calls. So every minute that we're here, police is running to help someone. As you can see from those graphics, that we have today more firefighters than we've ever had. We will project to have more even next year than we do this year. Thanks to the mayor, thanks to this council, that has given us 3 classes now. I think this will be about the 4th year in a row that we've had 3 classes as opposed to 2 prior. So, we've expanded services. We have more EMS units today. We're up to 39. We have bariatric units. We have some special EMS units. We're looking to expand. We added Fire Station 35 on the far east side. We're in design for Fire Station 36 on the far northeast. We have plans to put stations in other places. Our response times are all within NFPA standards. They're holding steady. Our standard, if I recall, is within 8 minutes to be there. So we're meeting that. We have an excellent fire service. I'm as someone who has worked with them, I'm confident in their abilities to respond. I think they provide excellent service, and I don't think there's any level of crisis in our community with respect to being able to respond to a fire or EMS. We also have, a dozen mutual aid partners as well. And what that means is who's ever closest to that person, is going to show up. Oftentimes it is Columbus. Once in a while, it might be one of our mutual aid partners. So I have full confidence in the fire division. We're not hearing, the chief is, I'm sure, like any administrator or chief, when you ask the question, how much funding is enough? Always a little bit more. But I don't think that that's not the kind of information we're hearing up from our fire chiefs.
And then my last question is just really about the wellness of our first responders. I think, out of many of the initiatives that came about from 2020 and our Reimagining Safety Initiative and Inspector General's office and things of that nature, was some dollars to support the wellness facility, and the name is escaping me, so I apologize, on Nelson. Do we know if our officers and our firefighters are utilizing that service?
Yes, Chair Remy, Councilmember Favor, members of council. I don't have numbers. I can get some to you with respect to how much time there is being used, but I would suspect, again, thanks to the mayor, thanks to council, the Wellness Center has been a great success for our first responders. And, I think with all the work that these first responders have done over the years, I think sometimes maybe we've forgotten how they're impacted by some of the things that happen in our community. So I think council and the mayor, it's to be commended for starting this program. And for all intents and purposes, it's been a great success. There's funds in the budget in the safety director's office to just support regular supplies and things that they need. It is staffed both by police and fire and also Columbus Public Health. And so the funds for supporting that reside in public safety. So, but I'll see if I can get some information on usage for you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, you're welcome.
Good evening. Good to see you again. I am curious to get your perspective on what you think the projection for potential growth is of the mobile crisis response units. I think what I've heard here, it's clear that there are workforce challenges within the safety sector. And I think when we first started this process looking at alternate crisis, in my mind I was thinking, well, maybe 20% of calls could be responded to. That was not based on fact. That was just based on, in my mind, what I thought based on the ride-alongs I've done and the work I've done with REACT in the past. But I'm curious to kind of get your thoughts, because the work that we're seeing is having a really positive impact. And I would love to be able to do more of it while also alleviating some of the other workforce challenges that you're running up against on the police and fire side. So thoughts on projected growth, and then also curious how you think we might fund that expansion.
So, yes, Chair Remy, members of council, Councilmember Green, the statistics on mental health calls for service were anywhere between 20,000 and 25,000 calls annually. And so if we would extrapolate how many of those calls that the RRU has been able to sort of triage, it looks to be right around 20%. And then, of course, then what percent of those is MCR able to respond to? We have social workers, obviously, with the police officer. We have them now funded through the health department, working paired with our mobile crisis group. As I said, we have quarterly meetings with our Columbus Health Department, mobile crisis leadership, Spark and React leadership. So maybe plan out what is our next step. You know, I'm sure the demand is there for those type of activities, for that type of response, and then plan out what are our next steps now that we've accomplished a lot of things we set out to do this past year. So we'll have a better idea, I think, here in the coming months, what resources can we allocate. Obviously, with mobile crisis response, that means officers, that means, us engaging with police and Chief Bryant with all the things that we're asking her to do to say, is there an opportunity to expand that unit as well?
Thank you. And then as a follow-up to that, so you had mentioned, of course, right now we're pairing those social workers with police officers. Looking at the state standards for how the current MRSS service operates in the youth space, and I think how we can anticipate the new adult rules that will be coming out at, those positions that are responding to those calls wouldn't always require, I think, at what they're looking at changing it, wouldn't always require a licensed clinician. And if we're looking at 20% of calls, if you look at like the workforce of like 1,800 police officers, that would be 360 social workers would be like 20% of that. We just don't have 360 social workers in the state of Ohio. I mean, we are also equally in a desperate workforce shortage. And if we were to even hire those workers at the most competitive wages, which I would argue we should still do anyways, but then we would just drain licensed clinicians from other sectors and cause problems in other areas. And so I'm interested to get your thought around the possibilities of, as a way of expanding that billing for those services under the new rules and using that as a diverse revenue stream so that we can not reduce our investment that we're making, but stretch our dollars to make them go further. And then the second thing is looking at those best practices and the state standards as they're changing so that we are opening ourselves in the broadest way possible to having as many workers as possible to fill these gaps and alleviate your safety workforce issues.
Chair Remy, members of council, Councilmember Green, those are great questions. They are ones that I would be happy to propose to our partners, Columbus Public Health. What are our opportunities here for? Because you're absolutely right. We're not going to be able to find, I doubt, 300 social workers to come work for us. What can we do legally? Who can respond with that person? Does it have to, what sort of licensure do they need? Many of our officers, I say that, hundreds of them are trained in crisis response. Most of them get some, even a little bit of that as they come into through the academy. So there is some of that exists out there already. But what would that level be under the standards that is acceptable? What would we be comfortable with, and responding without a licensed person? So I think those are questions we can certainly look into and see what that looks like.
And then I would just like, we're talking about equity, maybe a plug for next year's budget and conversation, looking at, we have a model of training police officers, we have a model of training firefighters, looking at a model of maybe a training program to build that workforce, because it doesn't exist right now, but we have a desperate need. So opportunities to evaluate that, if we build it, they will come, as they say. So excited to partner with you on that.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director. We appreciate the presentation this evening. Next, we will hear a presentation from the Office of Violence Prevention. I'd like to turn the floor over to Deputy Director Joanne Lunsford.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Chair Remy, Vice Chair Favors, and Councilmember Green. Thank you for allowing OVP to present today. Columbus Office of Violence Prevention is charged with offering, offering oversight and coordination assistance to the violence prevention initiatives in Columbus, Ohio that focus on combating and reducing violence in our communities. Some of our 2023 accomplishments were the formation of our office in March of 2023, with Rena Shack being named as director. We hired dedicated, focused staff, a deputy director, executive assistant, public information officer, and 3 community relations coordinators. We've had an administrative focus with internal strategic planning. We've linked with the National Office of Violence Prevention Network and attended the convenings, virtual, and in September, we went to the in-person convening in New Orleans, Louisiana, and we connected with local OVPs for collaboration, et cetera. We have focused on an assessment of the violence prevention landscape in Columbus, and we have built an inventory of violence prevention programming and services. On September 19th, we had a community conversation, and we had in September, we also had a successful gun buyback event. And we've had a community conversation series that was launched out of that September 19th event to gain community input and feedback. At the gun buyback, we were able to retrieve 201 handguns, 75 shotguns, 68 rifles, and a total of 344. And among those 344, we had 25 assault weapons, and this includes a Tech-9 with a silencer, 9 sawed-off shotguns. Ammunition was turned in, but we did not keep stats of how much of what type. Total gift cards paid approximately $136,600. These guns were checked to see if they had been used in any known crimes or active criminal investigations, after which they were melted down. In 2024, our budget request, $4,517,250. Of that, we are looking for personnel in an amount of $1,151,250. Materials and supplies, $25,000. And for services, $3,341,000. OVP will collaborate with national, state, and local entities in 2024. The National Office of Violence Prevention Network staff will be in Columbus next month to assist OVP in assessing our violence prevention landscape and building our violence prevention ecosystem to address crime and violence in our city. We will work hand in hand with NOVPN and will utilize their recommendations on the best ways to allocate resources to services while utilizing evidence-based practices and ensuring the incorporation of data analysis, public education, equity, and justice. Under the guidance of Mayor Ginther and the leadership of Director Shack, OVP's aspirations in 2024 and for the future include continually working with the National Offices of Violence Prevention Network and other offices of violence prevention across the nation to receive guidance and support as we evaluate our current violence prevention efforts and any needs that surface as a result. OVP will assess resource allocation, outcomes of programming, and if reorganization of violence prevention programming throughout the city departments is warranted. Services and initiatives and their needs will be considered, outcomes will be evaluated, and input from the community will be solicited. We anticipate working collaboratively with government offices, city departments, community organizations, and residents of our wonderful city to ensure that this process is thorough and inclusive of all major stakeholders. If you have any questions, I can take them at this time.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director. Talk to us. I know you've got the group coming in next week, but talk to us about the timeline to evaluate what we're currently doing from a violence prevention effort, and then what you expect to see in the coming year with your department, as you might see it today.
Thank you for that question, Chair Remy, members of council. In 2024, throughout that year, in the beginning of the year, as we stated, next month, the National Office of Violence Prevention Network will be in town, and they will help us to come up with an evidence-based plan that is
that is in alignment with national best practices and evidence-based practices. We also will be working with other local based offices of violence prevention who have proven decreased numbers in regards to violence or crime, so that we can also receive guidance from them. We can receive feedback. So in February, when that convening occurs, we will have a better idea of the best way to go forward, because we will be using the recommendations of the National Office of Violence Prevention Network. We don't anticipate it to be a long, long process. We know we need to get to work, and we're ready to do that.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Favor.
So, great results, unfortunately, with the gun buyback program. But I imagine that's going to be a staple initiative of the department moving forward.
We have, thank you, Council, Vice Chair Favors, members of council. We have those ongoing discussions. We've been working with the Columbus Police Department, definitely the Office of Mayor, so that we can see what that looks like on a continual basis, because unfortunately it was successful, but fortunately it was successful, and we can have more residents willing to come support that. We didn't anticipate people from Cleveland and Cincinnati being excited about our gun buyback and calling and expressing interest. We still have emails and contact coming in to this day asking us, when is your next gun buyback? I have this weapon, I'm interested in turning it on, and what is the process? So we are definitely, that's definitely on our radar to keep that going, so that we can actually address the needs of the community.
Do you collect data on those who participate in the program?
No, we do not,
Okay.
Vice Chair Favors. It's a completely anonymous program.
Okay.
We want to make sure it stays that way to encourage our residents to bring the guns. So, and through that process, we were able to actually get feedback that we've gotten guns from, or weapons from youth,
Yeah.
and all members of society, or all members of Columbus.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Just wondering how many guns came back from young folks in our community, as we've seen a rise in youth violence in the community. But just a half step off of that, what does community partnerships look like for you all in this department? I know that you do have the strategic session that's coming up next month, but is that something you're also considering, working with trusted folks in the community that could also assist in this effort of violence prevention?
Thank you, Vice Chair Favor. Absolutely. We are working with one of the things the National Office of Violence Prevention, when they come in next month, we are working on what does that violence prevention ecosystem look like for Columbus? And that definitely includes not only government, but includes community organizations, individual citizens, and partnerships and collaborations with every violence prevention entity, every violence prevention definitely city-based. Our director, if you've ever heard her speak, she talks about 3 tiers, and she talks about our collaborations with the first tier, and that's the city-based entities, departments, and offices. And then that second tier is are those organizations that receive funding from the city of Columbus. And then the third tier, violence prevention organizations and entities that do not receive funding. How do we partner and collaborate with them so that we can see, one, what they're doing, and how we can assist and how we can help? Because some may have problems applying for funding. How do we help, and how do we make sure the resources get to all the places that it needs to get to, and we collaborate with everyone and what they need? So because ultimately it's really for the city benefits.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to ask a question about violence prevention, specifically when we're talking about our youth population. I think some of the peak times that we see incidents occur are in those after-school hours, particularly between the time of 2 and 5 o'clock, when kids are released from school and before their parents get home. In many of our buildings, or many of our school buildings, kids have to walk home or walk to and from school. Up to 2 miles, I think, is the district policy, which is quite a ways for a young, undeveloped brain to be walking by themselves with all of their 200 best friends. And also, we have funded after-school programs as part of our violence prevention initiatives that equally, is my understanding, don't have transportation to and from them. And so then after-school programs, when they let out, right now it would be dark outside at 5 o'clock. So then you're asking a kid to walk home for 2 miles in the dark. I think that there is a correlation there. I think that a very effective prevention tool could be taking our students home. We might not be able to impact the district, but certainly with the programs that we're funding, would love to explore opportunities. And if there's not a request in the budget for transportation to and from those programs, I hope that there will be next year. I'm curious to get your thoughts on opportunities for that.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Green. Very important question, right? When we're talking about violence and specifically in the youth violence. And that's one of the things when the National Office of Violence Prevention Network comes in next month, that is one of the things that we are exploring. What are some of the best ways to address that? So while we are also working with our city programs like Reroute through the Columbus Public Health and other programs that are specifically targeted to our youth, how do we help them build capacity? How do we see what the needs are and how do we help meet those needs? And so, and as well as the youth funding programs that are coming through for summer programming and after-school programming. We've meeting with the schools. We have a meeting with Superintendent Chapman next week, I believe it is. We met with Board Member Reyes. We're meeting with different entities that serve the schools so that we can actually work on not only, we've been meeting with principals and when when a specific issue is identified, we actually go to the school and we talk to the administration of the school. And because we have built that inventory of different violence prevention networks and programming and entities in the city, we are able to make new collaborations. We're able to say, hey, this organization or this population needs this and this organization provides this. How about you guys work together? Our community relations coordinators are excellent at that. They are excellent at identifying the issues and figuring out how do we get new partners together that may not have known each other exist or didn't know what each other did. So between that, and we're also having, we talked about the community conversation series that we've been having since September 19th. A couple of them we had with students, and then we've had some with parents, asking them, what are some of the problems you're seeing? What are some of the needs you have so that we can better assess how we can assist and how we can help on things like transportation and all that. So those are definitely things that we are willing to explore and think about and take to our entire ecosystem as we build this out and see how we can better address not only transportation needs, but any other needs that may be linked to violence and anything else in our community that we are charged with oversight over.
And I think what you'll find in those conversations are, the shortages of CDL drivers and we can't hire them. It's a theme throughout all of these committee hearings are these workforce issues. And so I understand that is a barrier, but I think that shouldn't prevent us from finding a way, whether it's we have to build our own workforce to do this work or, do more work in that space. So I look forward
Absolutely,
to
and if I
partnering.
may, it's also great when we have these conversations because there's time to deal with systemic issues and we're able to talk to parents and talk about how things are linked, how decisions are made and linked, and how busing shortages this and how actions and decisions cause this. So being able to address all that as well helps in the long run with the bigger picture.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lentz. We appreciate your time today. Next, we will hear a presentation from the Office of Inspector General. So I'm going to turn this over to the Inspector General, Jacqueline Hendricks. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to come before Safety Commission just to be able to present some information regarding our office. You just did. So again, thank you so much. Looking at the budget, for the Office of Inspector General, just kind of going over, our budget this year for 2024 is $2,376,972. This is definitely an increase from last year, which we truly appreciate. It's an increase of almost a little bit over 400,000. What I will say about the budget covers our operating expense, which includes personnel, materials, supplies, services. It also includes a lot of the other things it talks about for personnel. Our personnel right now, we have current staff is 13 full-time. We are looking in the proposal to be able to increase our staff up to 18 full-time. Also included in the budget does include $16,234, and that's for the Civilian Police Review Board. We provide whatever additional needs they need. Also, that would include training for the Civilian Review Board. They had an opportunity this year to actually attend training with us at NACO, which stands for a National Association of Civilian Oversight Law Enforcement, which is a organization where they have the opportunity to attend the conference and learn information, also meet other members that participate in the same type of work that they do. Along with the proposed budget, when we're talking about proposed staffing, we're looking at creating a new position, which is intake specialist. So looking at how the staff is right now, we have the Inspector General, the Deputy Inspector General. We also have the Civilian Review Board Secretary that is also a part of our staff, along with having our own Executive Secretary. The most important thing to think about is the fact that we have 7 investigators currently doing the work. Along with that, we have 1 supervisor that is a supervisor over the investigators. So bringing in the intake specialists, again, which would be some of the new proposed staff, this allows us to free up some of the time that the investigators have when it comes to receiving the complaints, putting that information in, and also putting that information in the system and following up on the information that's needed for us to proceed with our investigations. We're also looking at bringing a management analyst in this time. This just allows us to continue to grow the staff that we already have. The management analyst will assist us with being able to analyze a lot of the data now that we're open and we're operating and we're able to put all of this stuff into our case management system. It allows us to be able to track and look at the information and just provide better feedback. Additional, we want to bring in more investigators also with the staff. So that also brings us from having a full-time staff of 13 looking at 18. Because what we'll tell you is the main thing when we get towards the end is we're going to show you what our stats are. And we are still, when it comes to investigation, nowhere near has the staff that IAB had when they initially was handling the complaints. But we are handling the complaints and we're doing the best that we can to make sure that we're meeting these timelines. And so additional, one of the things we talk about is what are some of the anticipated challenges that we looked at with this budget. And again, the main thing is always trying to meet that 90-day timeline, which is contractual between the city and the FOP as far as when we have to do our investigations, receiving them and processing them. So what I will say is being able to, the budget that is proposed right now, this does help us align us with being able to meet some of those guidelines that we have. Also included in the budget is an office expansion, which is needed because, again, as we started off with the small staff and the office just being newly created from scratch, as we go through, we're just trying to expand the staff to be able to make sure that we have the members and the staff that we need to be able to be productive in the work that we have. When we come down and we look at what are our missions and deliverables, well, the mission will always be to promote trust and transparency for the community and, well, let me start, promote trust and transparency for the community and within the City of Columbus Police Department. And by that being that we are that independent agency in which citizens can come and file their complaint with our office, and filing that complaint, it allows us to do what our mission is, which is investigating allegations of police misconduct, and excessive use of force. That is what the mission is. That's one of the deliverables that we have. So with that investigation and the deliverable also is what do? We provide that recommendation. The recommendation that we provide when we're giving that to the Civilian Review Board, the investigations we do, we provide that to the Civilian Review Board along with our findings and recommendations, and those recommendations are forwarded over to CPD. So the recommendations allows us to be able to tell CPD just a lot of things that, again, that they were already things that they may be concerned about. This allows us to be able to say, hey, these are the complaints we're getting, whether or not the complaints that we are getting, whether it involves a policy that they may need to look at, maybe revisit, maybe looking at how the officers are impacting with the different citizens. What can we provide? What are we able to do with all of this data, again, that we're getting and we're collecting and we're putting into our database based on all of the investigations that we're doing. The other thing is we look at with all the information is education. What I will say, the one thing that I've looked at over the last year to hear what is the most thing that I'm seeing is just education. So education would be part of what our community outreach program would be, and that is educating citizens about what it is, some of the complaints they have. We do receive a lot of information about things that citizens feel officers should be doing. Some of the things or allegations that citizens make may not necessarily be in the line of what the officer is doing that they feel is misconduct. It's just them being able to understand what the officer's role is. The other thing is it also allows us to be able to provide feedback to CPD regarding interactions that some of the officers, again, are having with some of these citizens, to be able to provide that information so that they can see how their interaction with citizens is affecting the citizens and why we're receiving some of the different complaints that we are receiving. I want to go into a little bit when we talk about the complaint process, just a quick overview. The main thing it starts with is filing a complaint with our office. Once you file a complaint with that office, that complaint is investigated. It's important that the information we get allows us to be able to proceed. We still do have some challenges, again, that kind of goes back to the education, that we get a lot of complaints with information that may not necessarily be something that's within our jurisdiction or our authority to investigate. So we still want to make sure that we're getting that information out there to the citizens so they understand exactly what we're able to investigate, what our authority is. But I will say that any complaints that we get, we always try to make sure that we're providing some type of feedback, some type of information to the citizens. So we do get complaints that sometimes do involve allegations of misconduct or excessive use of force. We also sometimes get complaints regarding 911. Sometimes we get complaints about citizens wanting to file reports. So I say everything that we get, we want to make sure that we're providing that information to that citizen. And you'll see that later when I start looking at some of the totals. But again, once we get the complaint, we investigate it. Once the investigation is done, we complete a report. That report is what we provide to the Civilian Review Board. The report provides the investigation that was done, what our findings are, what our recommendations are. It also is attached to whatever policy or procedure that we looked at involving CPD to tell them whether or not we feel like there was a violation there, whether or not the investigation found whether a policy did exist. If a policy didn't exist, then we make the recommendation that maybe this may be a policy that maybe CPD may want to look at. If it's a policy that the officer did violate, we put that together in there. With that finding, and we're providing it to the Civilian Review Board, they will review it. They'll either agree or approve it. That report at that point in time is forwarded to the CPD. So normally everything goes to the chief of police, but I'm sure she takes the reports and they go through the chain of command. So the chain of command just does another review of the investigations that we have already done. Based on what their review is, we do get feedback as to when we do recommendations for whether an officer violated a policy or procedure, we do get feedback as to what type of disciplinary actions was taken. So we're taking all of that information again, and we're putting all of that stuff into our database. When it talks about factors that impact our investigations versus wrongdoing found. The main thing, again, that I would say is just whether or not we're receiving insufficient information. A lot of times when we get complaints, we don't always have the information that comes from the complainant. Sometimes complainants file complaints with our office. They either provide us enough sufficient information for us to be able to conduct an investigation. There's other times that we have to reach out to them to try to get additional information. Sometimes they provide the contact number. It can be a phone number, it can be an email, it can be an address. We do our due diligence to try to reach out to the complainant to try to get the additional information that we need in order to proceed. There are many times that we don't have that additional contact information, so it limits us with the ability to be able to finish that investigation or to go further into that investigation. But all of that information, again, we just try to keep and we do our due diligence. And again, you know, I'm going through all of this stuff, but it's so important to understand that everything that we're doing, we have 90 days to do this. So it's from the time we get everything to the time we're reviewing everything, by the time we're trying to contact the complainants, get the information, get all that stuff, process it, gather all the information, evidence, and everything we need to do, interview the complainant, interview the officers, and all of this we're trying to do within that 90-day time frame that we have to try to get these investigations done to be able to be in compliance with the collective bargaining agreement between the city and the FOP. I wanted to show some totals just to kind of see where we came from, where we started. The office became operational in July of 2022. This is when we started receiving complaints, processing complaints, and doing investigations. And looking at the stats, you'll see that in 2022, we received a total of 608 complaints. Out of those 608 complaints, we were closed 460 complaints. Now, when I say closed, what happens is, again, we receive all of that information. All of that stuff is put into our database. So those are complaints we receive, and those are complaints we're putting in information. Those are complaints that we are trying to follow up with all of those complainants to get the additional information that we need to be able to make a determination as to whether or not we can actually investigate the complaint that was presented to us. So out of that, we were able to open 131 cases. Out of that 131 cases, by the end of 2022, we were able to close 87 cases. Now, the board, again, because we were new, the board was also new in establishing, also during this time, we're establishing policies and procedures in which we can operate. We're also establishing policies and procedures and MOUs with the CPD Police Department, which allows us access to be able to pull a lot of information that we ourselves can pull and didn't necessarily have to go through a public records request to be able to view information, again, which does help us streamline our timeline, such as being able to view our own body cam footage. We also received some training from the Emergency Communication Center, so we're able to actually go out there and run and process our own CAD reports to be able to get this information. So looking into 2023, the complaints that we received for 2023, we received 1,946 complaints. And out of that, we were able to close 1,643 complaints. Again, this is still the citizens sometimes not totally understanding what our role is, but we try to make sure that we help them and provide assistance. So again, some of these complaints that we have closed can also be complaints that we do get regarding police response time. So we do forward those over to ECC so they're able to see that. Even though we are the city of Columbus, we do get complaints involving officers in other surrounding communities, such as Whitehall, some of the others. So sometimes citizens don't understand what our jurisdiction is, so we want to make sure that we're getting out there, we're talking to them a little bit more, and we're doing that with our community outreach program. We also want to put some more information on our website just so that citizens get a little bit more information about who we are, and also the fact that when they do provide information to us, it's important that they give us the information that we need so that we can proceed with our investigation. And I will say, every time we get a phone call, and every time someone calls our office to get any type of complaint, we put that in our database, which is why you see the totals as high as they are. So out of that, what I will say is we were able to open up 290 investigations. That's what we investigated for 2023. And out of that, and so what I will say, because sometimes when you look at the total, it's saying 290 investigations were open, but it says we closed 289. So be aware of the fact that sometimes our cases will overlap, and being that there are cases that we do get involving the allegation we may initially get may be something that is of criminal nature. Because our office is administrative and we only conduct administrative investigations, meaning we do not conduct investigations that are criminal. So if we get a complaint that involves criminality, we do forward that over to CPD, IAB, for them to conduct an investigation. And so what we will do is put that investigation on administrative hold. There are also times that there's things that happen within the city, so we may get a lot of complaints that may involve possibly maybe a police shooting, some other things. We still will put that on administrative hold temporarily, because what we're waiting for is for the criminal investigation to be completed. And then once the criminal investigation is completed, then we're able to look at administratively what actually occurred, to be able to see if administratively we're able to conduct an investigation. So because of that, there will be some cases that we do get that we will put on administrative hold that may fall over into the second year. The other thing is sometimes when it comes to the ending of the year, when we get complaints, we may hold on to the complaint. Sometimes we do our due diligence, but it may be 2 to 3 weeks that may follow over into the next year where we're still looking for information. We're still reaching out to the complainant. We're still asking for additional information. And because of that, sometimes that's why it may kind of come over to the other year. So in that stating that, again, we opened up 290 investigations. Out of that, we were able to close 289 investigations. And out of that, if you look at the green total, I wanted to be able to say that the Civilian Review Board began reviewing their cases this year. And so they have reviewed and approved 286 cases this year. And that's all the cases, complaints that came in from 2022 and the cases that came in for 2023.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Favor?
Thank you, Inspector General, for that presentation. Do we know the disposition of the, it was 286 was the final number?
Yeah. So what I will say also, Chairman Rainey to Vice Chair Favor, is we're in the process right now of doing our yearly report, which I'm excited about. We did a anniversary report that we did and presented to City Council, I think July of 2023 this year. But right now we're working on our yearly report, and we'll be able to provide all of that. We have gotten a lot of feedback from CPD as to the disciplinary actions that they took. All of that stuff is in our database, so I'm looking forward to, by the beginning of February, which is when we'll be meeting with the Civilian Review Board, we're going to present all of that stats to them. So to your point, I don't have the exact figures, but just what I can tell you is I'm excited with the fact that the majority of the cases that we actually have sent through CPD regarding our findings of sustained misconduct, we have received positive feedback as to the actions they took. They kind of tell us whether or not there was corrective actions, or whether, I think they use like a PA term, is that positive corrective action. So they have provided feedback to us. I can also say with the majority of the investigations that we have submitted to them, because I read just everything, because it's just important for me to understand, what we're doing if we're missing something, that the majority of the reports that we have put through with CPD, they have not had an issue with our findings at all. They've actually concurred with a lot of our findings. We have some things that, definitions and things that we have worked out, that we were doing one thing and they were asking, well, you know, you guys are finding this, it could possibly just be a misrepresentation. So we were kind of understanding what they did. And we did work on that. And just giving you an example is we may get a complaint that said the allegation was excessive use of force. And so what we would do is we pull body cam, we interview the officers, and what we found is whatever force was used, because sometimes it's just maybe an escorting out, we would say, oh, the force that the officer used, we would exonerate him. Our exoneration basically state that the actions that the officer took was in compliance with policy and procedure. However, what CPD asked us is they said, well, you know, but your allegation says excessive use of force. We don't like the terminology that you're exonerating excessive use of force, because you can't have exonerative excessive use of force. So we understood what they were saying. So what we did is in cases like that, instead of us exonerating, we just stated unfounded, because what we were able to state is that the officer's actions, again, did violate policy and procedure. I mean, the officer's actions were supported by policy and procedures, but the allegation itself of excessive use of force was unfounded because it was not excessive use of force.
Okay. And at what point do we communicate with the resident who has filed the complaint? Is it at the end of this process or midway through?
No, so two things. What we do is as soon as we get the complaint, my investigators are to call the complainant, let them know that they are the investigator that's got the case. Also allows them to be able to contact them and let the complainant know if at any point in time they move or have some type of, change their number, that they provide that to the investigator in case there are questions going forward. So that's the other thing. Then at the end, when the investigation is completed, then they send out a letter to notify the complainant what the finding is. And also, just so to also let you know, is based on the collective bargaining agreement, we're also required not only in the beginning that we get a complaint to let the officer know that we have a complaint about them, but also at the end, we're required to send a letter to the officer to also confirm that the investigation has been completed. So that is also a part of our process too.
Does your data tell you what the top few complaints are? Like, are you seeing a trend?
So the good thing is that as we're putting all of the information in, it allows us to search. We have the database picks, we label what the type of allegations are that we get. So the allegation can be actions taken, not taken. It can be prisoner mishandling. It can be search warrant. So it allows us to be able to search. So we're able to pull that up, and that's important for us as we start looking at total. It also allows us to be able to search by officer, to be able to, if we are looking, because sometimes I think CPD sends us information if they're doing promotional, if somebody's retiring, to say, hey, is there somebody in your system? Are you looking at this? Our database does allow us to be able to search and pull some things up there. But what we are doing is what we want to look forward to, I would say, going forward in 2024, is to really kind of pull some of that data and start really kind of looking at some of the stats on that to see if where we may want to kind of dig deeper. Because the other thing that we have found is, while we get complaints regarding actions that were taken by officers, not all the time that the actions that were taken by the officer is a violation of policy. So we want to make sure that when we're looking at something like that, to see, hey, is CPD, maybe you don't have a policy regarding this, but maybe this might be something that could be a training. One of the things that I do know, there's a couple of programs out here in which citizens are able to, participate and do ride-alongs with officers. We also know that one of the members of our board, also there's a community immersion program in which officers and citizens come together. The officers, I believe, are not in uniform. The citizens are dressed, and they sit and they get a chance to kind of talk and get to, express things, talk about the interactions. And I think that's a great thing. That's something I would like to, I've kind of talked to a couple couple of members, I'd like to see if we can get into a program where that's something that we would be able to offer citizens so that they can come and be able to just sit down and talk and maybe tell the officer, hey, when this happened, this is kind of how I feel. So the officer gets to kind of see on the other end how their actions affect citizens, and also giving citizens the opportunity to sit and talk to the officer to see that, they're just humans and individuals like we are, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Faber. Just one last question. Are you going to be setting up a dashboard for the public so that they can look at this information and dissect it?
So if you could just kind of give me a little bit more clarity. One thing, and I don't know if this is going to answer your question or not, we do know that all the reports and everything we have are available, through public records requests. Any information, like the reports and things like this, the yearly reports, that stuff we will be putting out there for citizens if they have any questions. But as far as just having a dashboard where they're able to research and pull information, that I know we don't have anything like that on our web page. But what we're trying to do is provide like a Q&A. So if citizens has questions about different things common questions that we're getting, that we could probably be able to put that out there for citizens to be able to
Okay.
answer.
I just thought, it came to mind when I saw the stats that you showed from 23 and 22. That type of information, sometimes people like to dive into that, take a look at it. I'm pushing everybody within our city government to provide easy, accessible information for our public to be able to look at. So challenge you to kind of look into that because I think it could be helpful, and appreciate your testimony this evening. So we are going to move on to our municipal courts, Franklin County Municipal Court, and I see Judge Paley here. Thank you for your patience this evening. I know you've got some folks from the administration here, but want to go ahead and turn it over to you, Judge Paley.
I'm going to move up with my team. Good evening, Councilmember Remy and Faber. I am Judge Eileen Paley and Chair of the Municipal Court Finance Committee. With me this evening, I have Emily Shaw, our Court Administrator, John Davenport, our Deputy Court Administrator, and Tanika Jackson, my Finance Director. Thank you for this opportunity to address the Court's 2024 operating budget. The city has a stellar finance department, and we appreciate their support and guidance throughout this very important process. A special thank you to Director Owens, Deputy Director Chris Long, and Jessica Friedel, the court's budget management specialist. The court's 2024 general fund budget, as recommended by the mayor, amounts to $27,666,596. This funding supports most of the court's 270 employees and non-personnel operating expenses. The court is extremely appreciative of the considerations given by the Finance Department. The key aspects of the court's general fund budget requests include $490,000 will offset some of the expenses associated with the court's specialized dockets, Link, Catch, Mavs, Hart, and the recovery courts. These dockets are pivotal in providing comprehensive care, addressing underlying issues, contributing to criminal behavior, and yielding positive outcomes such as lower recidivism rates, reduced jail nights, and community safety. These programs unify families and have returned many participants to productive lives, positively contributing to the community. $125,000 in funding sustains the court's work release program, offering an alternative sentencing option that allows individuals to maintain their employment while serving their sentences and fostering rehabilitation and community reintegration. $757,000 will provide additional language services to the court and all associated parties. This funding supports language services, including contracts and outside vendors for interpreters and dedicated resources for Spanish and Somali interpreters. These services are vital to ensure that all members of our diverse community receive fair and accessible services. $865,000 will provide contracted evening, weekend, and holiday building security services. This contract augments the court security personnel, providing security services to all the occupants of the 375 building and ensuring 24/7 access to all the occupants of the courthouse complex. The general fund supports the Specialized Enforcement and Response Team, or the CERT unit. The CERT team collaborates with local law enforcement to supervise high-risk individuals by performing off-site field visits to their homes, workplaces, or other locations to assess compliance with court orders and programming. The CERT unit focuses on reducing domestic violence and violent offenses. This unit is an essential aspect of ensuring the safety of both victims and the community, which aligns with the goals of the city's safety initiative. The mayor's budget provides a staff attorney for the Self-Help Center to assist pro se litigants. The Self-Help Center is a free walk-in clinic designed to help those who want to start or already have a civil case pending in the municipal court. Areas of focus for the Self-Help Center include providing eviction resources, assisting persons seeking to seal their criminal records or expunge them, and a successful mediation program. The Self-Help Center collaborates with the city's Opportunity Port to streamline the process of sealing a criminal record. In 2023, among many of the record sealing clinics, and the one big one that we had, the clinic served over 700 people in one day during its record sealing event. The service is so crucial to removing barriers to housing and employment for the citizens of Columbus. The city is continuing support of the court's MARCH program. MARCH stands for Medical Assisted Treatment, Assessments, Referrals, Collaborations, and Hope. The MARCH program provides direct on-site and virtual linkage to behavioral, medical, employment, treatment, and community resources. The MARCH program is open to justice and non-justice involved citizens of Columbus and is available for anybody that needs any of the resources that are provided to the MARCH program. In 2022, the city approved the augmentation and consolidation of the court's technology platform. As a result, the court now offers a dynamic and interactive website, for the first time, I might add, and internal help desk services, and is continually evaluating improvement in operation using technology. The 2024 budget will permit the court to onboard an IT specialist currently in a contract position. This action is in line with the IT plan submitted in 2021. Our court has been privileged to receive various grant awards showcasing our commitment to community welfare. From domestic violence to electronic monitoring, these grants bolster our efforts to provide public safety and serve our neighbors effectively. Our person is currently managing the entire existing grant program. She is single-handedly responsible for applying for and reporting on 9 grants in the aggregate amount of $3.5 million. To maintain this vast support, the city is providing a grant analyst to ensure that the court continues to offer its behavioral and life-changing programs. This position will assist with compliance with the many grant conditions that will allow us to maintain these funds for the courthouse. The grant awards include an LGBT domestic violence programming from Franklin County that supports the LGBTQI community funding of victims' assistance to support victims of crime while the offender is on probation, and alternative sentencing programming for the probationers. The state of Ohio provided grant awards supporting advocacy for domestic violence victims, staffing for electronic monitoring, and comprehensive pretrial services units. The court has received multiple awards from the U.S. Bureau of Justice Assistance. Each award is for 3 to 4 years with a cumulative total of $1,171,126. One grant focuses on extending and expanding peer mentors and services to our drug courts and veteran specialized dockets. A second grant award focuses on mental health specialized dockets. The city's Department of Development funds a full-time social worker dedicated to the Self-Help Center. This social worker is an essential resource to connect residents dealing with housing insecurity, evictions, or sealing or expunging records. Services include linkage with health providers, financial assistance, and other social services. The court offers restorative and therapeutic justice by providing programming and intervention responses that are proven effective tools to reduce and prevent recidivism. The court proactively engages and receives favorable responses and continued collaboration with other government partners, including City Council, Mayor Ginther, City Attorney Klein, the Common Pleas Court, the County Commissioners, and the Sheriff. Our partnerships and sharing of resources are essential towards long-term program sustainability and success and lead to greater program efficiencies, cost-saving measures, and increased public services and resources, all of which affect the court's ability to positive problem solving. I might add that both the March program and the self-help clinic are open to all of the courts in the justice system and are utilized by all of them also. In conclusion, the municipal court, Ohio's largest and busiest municipal court, remains dedicated to continual improvement and efficient resource utilization. We acknowledge the challenges of these economic times and express gratitude for your trust and the resources the city has invested in our court. We understand the city's motivation to improve safety in the community. We appreciate your trust in the courthouse as a partner in this important initiative. Chairperson Remy and Favor, thank you for your support and opportunity. I will gladly answer any questions you or your fellow council members may have.
Thank you very much, Judge. We appreciate that in-depth. Appreciate the programming that you've instituted at the courts over the last several years. It is remarkable, and been to those record-sealing events in Milo Grogan. They're really truly amazing to see the number of people that are serviced and how many judges are there to make sure that that all occurs. Can you provide a little bit more detail about the officer field work and safety training program regarding high-risk defendants? I'd like to know a little bit more about that and what the future holds for that.
Yes, thanks to City Council and the Mayor and their assistance in this program, it has been increased. The Officer Fieldwork and Safety Training Program, specifically carried out by the Specialized Emergency Response Team, which is called the CERT unit, focuses on performing tasks that align with evidence-based practices in the probation field. The primary objective of this specialized unit is to address high-risk defendants with the community who are on probation. The key features of the program include highly trained personnel. The CERT unit comprises highly trained officers who possess specialized skills and knowledge necessary for dealing with high-risk individuals on probation. They do site visits, which is pretty significant to the CERT team, and this means that the CERT unit physically goes to the locations where high-risk individuals on probation reside or frequent. These visits serve multiple purposes: ensuring accountability and compliance. One of the primary goals of the site visit is to ensure accountability and compliance among the high-risk probationers. Officers closely monitor their activities and behaviors of these individuals to assure they adhere to the conditions of probation. We also want to support the evidence-based practices. This means that the strategies and interventions employed by the CERT unit are grounded in research and proven to be effective in managing high-risk individuals. In addition to monitoring the probationers, the CERT unit also checks on the victims. This involves assessing well-being and the safety of victims to ensure that they are not at risk and are receiving the necessary support. By implementing these measures, the Officer Fieldwork and Safety Training Program through the CERT unit aims to enhance public safety by effectively managing and supervising high-risk defendants on probation while also addressing the needs and safety of the victims involved in these cases.
Thank you very much, Judge. Vice Chair Favor.
Good evening, judges, well, Judge Paley, and court staff. Judge Paley, you did a great job of laying out the good work this Self-Help Center is doing. Is there any one service in particular that you're seeing being utilized more that's coming from the Self-Help Center?
I think with the change of the legislation with regards to sealing and expunging records, it's increased substantially. And it's, I think more records are being sealed. I think with our outreach and we have a new personnel person at the courthouse for the first time. We actually have a PIO officer that is helping us reach out to the community and let them know what resources are available. I remember when I was on council and I started the outreach into the community about the courthouse. It's amazing on how many people are afraid just to walk through those doors. It's important that we reach out and let people know that not only are we trying to initiate safety in the community, but also provide the services to stop the problems that create the risks to the community.
Definitely a step in the right direction to alleviating some of those systemic issues that have contributed to that very reality that many people feel as it relates to the criminal justice system. There is some dollars that are allocated, let me make sure I get this correct, an expansion of $250,000 for the transportation of arrestees to the new county jail facility. I believe that's included in the budget. Can you share just a little bit more about this and why it's needed?
Well, I think it's a collaboration between the county and the city there are instances in the sheriff is transporting defendants on a daily basis for the regular court systems, for court appearances, for arraignment court. But what they do not transport for is if somebody is arrested in the court for an outstanding warrant or a probation violation, then that goes on the court system to be responsible for that, and also the suburbs. Because Franklin County, unlike most of the court systems in this state or this country, also is countywide, because most municipal courts are citywide. So I believe that the county worked in collaboration with all the suburbs and the city to determine what the amount would be necessary to transport those people that are not being transported for normal court business days. I think I'm correct.
And that's like a proactive charge, and then there would be a reimbursement at the end of the year if all those funds are, got it.
Yeah.
And then the grant specialist is included in this budget this year, right?
Yes.
And very excited about the opportunity for more grants to be made available to you all. What's the average award grant size that you are all able to get right now?
The grant applications have just started over the last 5 years, and the amount of grants that we've received and applied for is amazing. We've got up to, at the present moment, we have 19 grants. We are presently applying for part of the opiate money also for the courthouse for some of our programs. And right now, we have 19 grants for $3.5 million. So it's a substantial amount of money that is not a burden to the city, because that is funds that we're receiving outside of the city budget. And that is a recent occurrence for the courthouse. I mean, we have really gone out of our way to try to supplement our budget with outside sources.
Yeah, and just looking at the budget this year is estimated around 27 million. 3.5 is a nice little chunk that the city doesn't have to absorb, but you can still offer good programming
Right.
to the residents in Franklin County and the city of Columbus. Thank you. That's all I have, Chair Remy.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Favor. I don't have anything else for you, but just thank you for your continued work and look forward to working with you over the next year. So thank you for coming in tonight and being so patient.
I want to issue a thank you from our new administrative judge, Judge DeVarga. She unfortunately got stuck in the weather in another state, but she would have been here if she could have been. So thank you.
Thanks, Judge Paley. And last but certainly not least is our municipal clerk of courts, Madam Clerk Lori Tyak. We appreciate you being ever so patient and look forward to your presentation. So I'll turn it right over to you so you can get started.
Thank you so much, Committee Chair Ramey. Good evening, Committee Chair Ramey, Vice Chair Favor, and Council Member Green. It's so good to see you this evening, and it's a pleasure to be with you to share with you our proposed 2024 operating budget and to highlight some of our accomplishments over the past year. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to my staff for their commitment to public service. I'm very proud of their attention to detail when completing daily tasks, their dedication and willingness to continue developing their knowledge and skill sets, and their willingness to think outside the box. I'd also like to recognize my financial advisor, our fiscal administrator, Crystal Ross. I always try to give her a promotion during these conversations, and also my Director of Public Relations, Tate Wooding. Thank you for being with me tonight. Our mission is to accurately maintain and safeguard court records, collect and disperse public funds while promoting equal access, fairness, and transparency. Our vision is to provide access through competent customer service, communication, and community outreach. Our value statement reflects what we stand for: a commitment to the core values of respect, integrity, justice, and compassion for all we serve. Our 2024 general fund budget request is $17.8 million. This is an increase of $1.3 million over our target budget and concerns support for two essential areas. First, I'm requesting additional funds to support an increase in staffing levels needed to meet our legal mandates and to offer a competitive salary which is necessary for the recruitment and retention of skilled workers. The second is to solidify the Clerk's Computer Fund, which has realized decreased funding due to downward trends in caseload. During the past 2 years, our staffing levels have dropped significantly. We lost 40% of our staff and 50% of our knowledge base to other government agencies who offered higher compensation. By strategically applying the cost of living adjustment and the salary increase approved last year by City Council, we were able to bring our starting salary up to a reasonable amount, but we're still $2 to $3 below the starting salaries at other Franklin County agencies. I'm asking City Council to help raise our salaries to be competitive in the market. Our computer fund budget request is just over $1 million. This fund is supported through the collection of court costs according to state statute and is approved annually by the administrative judge. Unfortunately, technology costs continue to increase while the funds to improve and maintain current technology are dwindling due to a downward trend in criminal traffic caseloads. This is also a result of a reduction in the assessment and collection of court costs. Over the last 8 years, I've presented expansion requests to the city's finance director to permanently move my IT staff to the general fund. According to the Ohio statute, this fund must remain solvent. The funding request is vital to ensure the sustainability of the Clerk's Computer Fund. The burden to fund Ohio's courts should not always fall on those who appear in court, but but should instead be shared by the community served to ensure fairness, equity, public trust, and confidence in the justice system. Regardless of these issues, the clerk's office has continued to progress with its strategic priorities. Our strategic priorities for 2024 focus on improving access to justice for the public and the court users. Our objective is to move the clerk's office towards an electronic, paper-on-demand environment. In 2023, one of our priorities was to expand the number of electronic filings. Well, I'm pleased to report that most new criminal, traffic, and civil filings are now being accepted through our online electronic filing system. City and county agencies routinely file documents online. Collaboration with our partners create opportunities to improve accuracy and create new efficiencies. To encourage more participation, the clerk's office reached out to major filers, including law enforcement, attorneys, and several large law firms. One of the more than 3,000 electronic filing registrations on file, we received 859 in 2023. And almost 30,000 documents were electronically filed last year, which is an increase of 118% compared to the year before. Electronic citations submitted by law enforcement have also taken off. Of the 46,000 citations filed last year, 32% were received electronically. Currently, we have a total of 6 law enforcement agencies submitting electronic citations. 3 additional agencies are in the process of onboarding, and 3 more have expressed an interest in the program. The passage of Senate Bill 288 prompted a collaboration between the City Attorney's Office and the Clerk's Office to create a new expungement and record sealing filing process. Last year, the City Attorney filed 317 applications electronically. These applications were processed using electronic workflow from the clerk to the court. Similarly, the Civil Division created an electronic workflow process for files routed between the clerk's office and small claims. This streamlined the process of scheduling cases and improved efficiency. In the same way, the public will be better served through the implementation of a paper-on-demand environment by increasing the number of documents electronically accessible while reducing the number of closed paper files. Last year, our internal imaging department scanned almost 130,000 cases and more than 2 million pages. Access to court case information is available online in 2 forms. Public access is available to anyone who has an internet, and NextGen is available through password-protected access and is provided to government agencies and attorneys. Recently, we focused our efforts on clinics and workshops to help give hope and help to those who found themselves in difficult situations. Our success has been grounded in partnerships with local, county, and state agencies. Last September, we partnered with the Franklin County Municipal Court Self-Help Resource Center to assist individuals with record sealing and expungement applications. Recent legislative changes expanded the charges, not the cases, but the charges eligible for consideration, which increased the number of applications filed. Together with our partners, we served 224 applicants at a one-day clinic. In late October, we hosted the 3rd driver's license reinstatement workshop at a local community center. An estimated 371 people were provided assistance from 19 agencies, including the Legal Aid Society of Columbus, the BMV, and our own courts, judges, and magistrates. More than $72,000 was forgiven at this event. This workshop allowed participants to get answers to their questions in one place rather than traveling to multiple locations, which can be a burden, especially to those without a driver's license. Programs like these help diminish the barrier between the court and the community and promote public trust and confidence. They shine a light on our passion for public service. I'm proud of the work my office does to ensure these programs and services are accessible to the people who need them most. Thank you, Councilmember Ramey, for your leadership on this committee. Thank you also, Councilmember Favor and staff, for the interest you've shown to ensure that the efficient operation of the clerk's office continues. I'd also like to say thank you to Mayor Ginther, Director Kathy Owens, and staff, and the other members of City Council for their support during the past year. And finally, thank you to the citizens of Columbus and Franklin County for the opportunity to serve you as your Franklin County Municipal Court Clerk. In a few months, I look forward to presenting you with my annual report, which will summarize the goals and the achievements of my office. Thank you for your time and attention tonight. I would be very pleased to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I would like to just ask a little bit about the e-warrants pilot and how that worked in phase 1, and then what's in store for the goals in phase 2.
Yes, originally LexisNexis created a software application called electronic or e-warrants and a protection order system. And it was initially designed for the state of Kentucky, which has a unified system or one case management system for every court in the state. Other states are also participating in this program. The Ohio Department of Public Safety has been working with LexisNexis to implement the system in Ohio since 2021. Currently, there are 8 counties in Ohio using e-warrants. Our case management vendor, Equivant, has created an interface, and they have contracted with the Ohio Department of Public Safety for the implementation of the system statewide. Unfortunately, it's taking a little bit longer than they originally anticipated. We are currently waiting to find out when the Franklin County Municipal Court Clerk's Office will be scheduled for implementation. I do anticipate more information to be released soon. In the meantime, I'd like you to know that we have participated in multiple countywide meetings with buy-in from more than 35 agencies in Franklin County. And at this time, we're still waiting for further information from the Ohio Department of Public Safety as to when Franklin County will be included.
I also, wanted to talk a little bit more about the expansion request. Obviously, we got to be paying people competitively as it relates to the workforce, and we know how important that is. With that expansion request, how many of those are actual new FTEs for you versus, I know a portion of it's increasing the hourly wage so it's competitive, but is some of that dedicated to actual FTEs?
So the $1.3 million involves moving 5 IT staff from the computer fund into the general fund and also adding 6 FTEs for the civil division. We've had a 20-year high in filings for eviction cases, so we had to do some reorganizing to make sure that we were able to meet our legal mandates in that area.
And you probably said this. Let me see. You're at 172. Is that where you're at now?
We're at 186.
Oh, 86.
With the addition of those 6 individuals.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Vice Chair Favor?
Clerk Tyke, thank you for your patience this evening. Just a quick question around the e-filing initiative. Really excited to see the progress. I know that this has been probably, 4 or 5 years in the making, if not longer. Have you found that it has increased or decreased office expenses?
At the moment, it's increased our office expenses. We are required to provide the paper copies to the court at this time and also to mail out copies of the filings to the parties. Normally, the runners who serve on behalf of the larger law firms provide all the copies to us at the time of filing, and so we are not required to make copies. But it does cost us quite a bit to make those copies and mail them out.
If you had to forecast when things will probably level out a little bit, are we thinking a couple of more years from now, things will start to level out, paper will go away, and we will fully be transitioned to an e-filing system? Yes, our focus is to go to a paper-on-demand environment, as I mentioned before, but it also involves making sure the court is comfortable with working with the electronic documents on their computers. I think they're getting there. They're willing to work with us, and we're trying to still take baby steps toward that goal. But I would say maybe 3 or 4 years, certainly before the new building is built, because my strategy is not to take any paper across the street to the new building. Love it, love it. Thank you, Clerk Tyek.
Thank you.
And your team.
Thank you very much.
Well, I do applaud you on that as the past chair of the Environment Committee and now vice chair, and also from an industry as a realtor that has gone completely paperless. It's kind of remarkable to find how antiquated some of the court systems are when it comes to paper. And so I applaud you for taking the leadership role and trying to get there. I know it's not easy, and I know there's a lot of scanning involved and all the good things that go along with it, but it's important that we get into the 21st century in every industry that we serve. And so I thank you for the work that you're doing in the clerk's office. But we will work hard to try to accommodate some of your requests, and appreciate your presentation this evening.
Thank you.
All right, so now we are going to move into the public speaker portion of the evening. We have a number of speakers here this evening. We are going to keep it strictly to 3 minutes, so please make sure that you're adhering to that. As I call you forward, please make sure you state your name, any organization that you represent, and we will gladly hear your testimony. So our first speaker this evening is Bashir Ahmad, and so you have 3 minutes. Come on up come to the podium, state your name and any organization you represent. We're excited to hear your testimony.
Right here. My name is Bashir Ahmed. I am with My Project USA. I'd like to start off by thanking Council Members Remy and Favor for the opportunity to speak with you guys today. I am also one of the head coaches with the Hilltop Tigers soccer program. My Project USA works diligently to create a safe space for the youth of the Hilltop while also empowering them and trying to teach them to be active members of society. We currently also have the Hilltop Tigers soccer program, as I mentioned, which also looks to inspire and take many of the youth that are struggling on the west side because of these neglected neighborhoods that are also impoverished, that become toxic environments, that maybe place them in danger of being absorbed or tempted by things such as gun violence, gangs, drug-related things, as well as human trafficking. Many of the kids in those neighborhoods that we serve, that danger is so much closer to their reality than they would like. So My Project USA, with the help of the City Council, created the Hilltop Tigers to try to offer an alternative. Many of the kids have seen the benefits of being a part of our organization, including the 3 that are with me here today, who are SK, MK, and Bakari, which are their nicknames. To me, they're like little brothers, right? I've learned to love them because they have suffered a very tragic loss, and I share the experience of dealing with such a loss, so they are also members of our community, so I see them as one. We've helped to make sure that these kids turn their pain into purpose, which is one of the most difficult things to do when you do deal with trauma. So we've done our best to make sure that they're able to see more of themselves in that light. We ask the city to continue to invest in the young people of our community. There are many more kids like them that need help to reach their full potential. And My Project USA has also helped to invest in youth such as myself. I'm currently training in a 6-month program to take an administrative role in this rec center that we are trying to get built, while also running a My Leaders program at Briggs and West High School for gun violence advocacy as well as leadership. We also ask for support of the Issa Jailani Memorial Recreation Center, which is very much needed because children on the west side, they lack a safe space to play, especially during the winter. And unfortunately, we just recently lost another one of our kids. We actually had 149 kids in our program, but now it is 148. We lost a 15-year-old just recently due to gun violence, and it was a very heavy and tragic loss on our side. Unfortunately, even though we have 148 kids, we are grateful for that. There are about 10,000 other kids on the west side that need that help and support. So we ask for you guys to continue to support us as you guys have done, as we continue to aspire and try to do our best to build things that help create a sustainable environment along the west side. Before I leave, I want to leave you guys with a quote, one of my favorites. And on Monday, it was Martin Luther King's birthday, but this quote isn't from him. It's more or less from his wife, Coretta King. And she says, "The greatness of a community is measured most accurately by the compassionate actions of its members." And we appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to everyday regular people such as myself and giving us a platform to voice our opinions and our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed. Appreciate you. All right, thank you so much. Our next speaker is Shamarki Abdi. And I apologize in advance if I mispronounce your names. You'll have to correct me.
Councilmember Remy in favor. My name is Shamarke Abdi, and I thank you. I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about my Project USA and the Hilltop Tigers Youth Soccer Program. I am in 11th grade student at West High School, and my Project USA has saved my life. Through my Project USA, I am provider of your investment. Sister Zerka asked me to speak here today, and I decided to come because I understood the importance of being present to speak up against the violence happening in my community. Where I come from, there is a lot of gun violence, and it's easy to get caught up doing the wrong thing. I wanted to live to see another day, and my chances of that are great because of my Project USA. Because of my Project USA efforts and my Project USA and all it offers. I learned about my Project USA. At first, I was introduced to the organization by a great friend named Issa Jailani and my old coach. Issa Jailani and my old coach wanted me to join my Project USA because it's important in the community. My Project USA help kids like me stay out of the street. They offer after-school programs, and the Hilltop Tiger programs and a food pantry leadership and programs and so much more. I participate in each of those programs and it saved my life. I decided to go to one soccer game and before I knew it, I was falling in love with the sport. So I decided to play with the Hilltop Tigers and join the team at my Project USA. It changed my life forever. And I've been introduced to a lot of good people because of Issa. I decided to give it all a try, and I'm so thankful that I did. Sadly, Issa Jailani is no longer with us. He was a good kid with a very bright future, and that future was taken away from him because of a sadly act of gun violence on July 22, 2022. What really hurt me the most is that we lost him in a neighborhood where we lost another friend, Mokambera's uncle. Just weeks before we lost Issa, we were still playing there because we didn't have any other place to go. This is why we are now working hard to build our own recreation spot to the Issa Jailani Memorial Recreation Center. I came here today to thank you for your support of my Project USA Hilltop Youth Empowerment Center and the Hilltop Tigers. Because of your support, hundreds of kids from my neighbors have a safe space to go in the midst of a violent crime-ridden neighbor. We get hot meals from the cafe that you supported last year. Our parents get food every week and so much more. Thank you. My Project USA had made a difference in my life as a soccer player and a student, and now I work there as an assistant coach with the Hilltop Tigers kids. And as an assistant in a food pantry, I wanted to live a long life, and I wanted our players, friends, and people we love to live a long life. Opening the Issa Jailani Memorial Recreation Center is going to be a big blessing in our community. It will give kids a safe place to be and play sports instead of risking our lives out on the streets. We have a lot of hope, and we can keep kids safe from the violence and crimes. My Project USA is catalyst for change, and I respectfully ask that you continue to support our organization. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdi. And next, we have Abdi Bakari. Do you want me to let you go? Okay.
Well, good evening, guys. My name is Abdul Kari. I'm from My Project USA, and I appreciate the opportunity to testify today, to talk to you guys. And I want to ask about the support, like your continued support, because this has helped us really much, very much. It's been a while. I'm sorry, it's been a while. I ain't gonna lie, it's been a while. I'm 20 years old, and I got introduced to My Project USA in 2017 through their my Boy Scouts program in middle school, and throughout that was 2017, and through the support of Council Member Michael Sticiano, and then in 2018, late 2018, my brother passed away, as you guys know, and he died due to gun violence. And it was a hard time for my parents and even me, but my Project USA has helped me a lot, and they have helped mentor me and train me to cope with that. And then also, I'm sorry about that. It's been a while.
You got it. Don't be sorry. You got it. You got it. You're doing it.
Just read it. Just read it. Obacaste. Being a part of this community has molded me into the man that I am today. I'm now an employee. I used to be just a part-timer and a volunteer. I would come to their pantries on Saturdays. It would be really wholesome. There would be a lot of people that care about you and just guide you onto the right path. And with the food from the pantry, my parents were able to sustain and help us. It helped us a lot. And then they also provided me services of being their photographer now, which is really amazing. And it's just a new field that I'm getting into, and it's due to the support of you guys and also Sister Zerka. She has really helped me in the last few years, and I really appreciate that. And I'm a product of both your guys' care and also Sister Zerka's care for just taking care of me. And I hope you guys can continue to take care of me and obviously handsome men over here to further bring more people to want to tell their stories just as we are, and to bring more promising members out into the community. And I appreciate you guys for letting me speak here, and yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
It was good, dude.
Are you Mukambira?
Yeah.
How do I say it?
Mukambira.
Thank you. Mukambira. Thank you, Mukambira.
Council members, Remy and Favor, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony today, to ask for your continued support and investment in My Project USA and our Hilltop Tigers youth soccer program. My name is Mukambira, and I'm a senior at Briggs High School, and I'm a product of your investment. The City Council first invested in our Hilltop Tigers in 2018, and that investment has changed my life for the better. As part of My Project USA missions to protect and empower young people and families, the organization created the Hilltop Tigers to provide an alternative to drugs, guns. Dozens of kids like me have worn our kit, and many have won championships, including me. I have been more than just a soccer player for Hilltop Tigers. I am now an employee at My Project USA, assisting in our food pantry and working as an assistant coach with our younger players. I have been a part of My Project USA for 5 years, and it has been a wonderful experience. Our organization provides mentoring, recreation, leadership, and literacy programming for at-risk youth here in Columbus. I wanted to be here to speak about gun violence that happens in my community because I am also a survivor of gun violence. I lost my uncle Abubakar Abdiaziz and my friend Issa Jailani back-to-back in the summer of 2022. Issa was taken right in front of me. If it wasn't for My Project USA programs, from trauma support to academic recreations and other opportunities, I couldn't be where I am today. The Hilltop Tigers and My Project USA have made a direct impact on my life. It is critical that I live to see another day, and My Project USA and the Hilltop Tiger make that possible for me and so many other kids in my community because of the support they give and how it offers a safe haven for so many of us. I wanted to be able to give back and see younger kids happy and getting better at soccer. All younger players look up to us, and if we're doing the right things, they will too. I ask that you please continue to support My Project USA and the Hilltop Tigers and invest in more young people like me. Help us through providing support for our recreation meals and counseling programs that help us get over trauma that many of us deal with on a regular basis. Thank you for allowing me to be here to share my story.
Thank you very much, Mukambera. Our next speaker is Joyce Richardson. Welcome to the podium. If you represent any organization, please let us know.
Actually, really fast, I also just want to say thank you guys for coming here, young gentlemen, and testifying. And also, a week ago, I stood on this very stage and was very emotional. About 100 people saw me crying about how much I loved this community. And so I appreciate your love and compassion that you bring to your advocacy as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Ms. Richardson, the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Joyce Richardson, and I'm a resident of Columbus, Ohio. I've been here for 35 years. I was born and raised. Like these young children that's here today speaking out on gun violence, I have a 14-year-old son. For 2 summers in a row, these children have been stealing vehicles. And as me being a parent, I have to take accountability for my child, but then that comes with a lead of children. So then I feel that when you put these kids on probation, there's more than just needed, just another step besides just that probation, because I feel like if we could take that and alter that with other programs like the community resource centers, and we can put that together with other resources like the Big Brother, Big Sister program, because some kids really do need that activity in their community and that after school program, and some kids really don't have that structure at home, and they don't get that balance that they really need, you know, and we do need more police officers on site to pertain to our children as well, because everyone just doesn't have that, you know, that structure and that balance that they need. But for my son, I don't want to be that parent that stands up there and go, dang, you know, I don't have my kid and somebody took my kid's life. That's scary. That's fearful. And I'm one of those parents that walk through here with anxiety and fear every day turning on the news. My kids don't even live with me. So they live with their dad. So that's like 10 times worse. I just want for my kids to grow up safe. And my kids is on that west side. So I'm thinking if we can just take the juvenile probation system and not just alter it as, oh, you did this, so this is what you get. If you do that, then this is how it works. So how about we take these programs in the juvenile and make it balanced for those kids. So it's also rewarding and they gain some confidence, and they gain some reality of what they really need in their lives, besides just sticking them in detention centers and sticking them on probation and house arrest, and then they're free to do whatever. They need structure, they need balance, and all kids need that, not just mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. We appreciate your testimony. Felix Mijangos, okay, is left, and just note that in the public record. And then finally, but certainly not least, Circa Abid.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zarqa Abid, and I'm the founder and executive director of My Project USA. I want to start with thanking Chair Ramey for having us today here, and congratulations to our very new Council Member Melissa Green. I am super excited for having her here because she has been our best friend on the West Side. And then I have Miss Avery Townsend. Thank you so much for your leadership here. I wanted to also thank Columbus City Council for all the support that has been granted to us. Mayor Ginther has provided support. City Attorney Zach Klein has been part of our thing, and now our police chief. Super excited to have a partnership with her and her role in our program. I'm proud to present these 4 young people who have presented here in front of the City Council. And I wanted to tell all of you that we are super proud to be on the top of your Reimagining Public Safety program. Is this? Okay. Reimagining Public Safety program. I do want to say that, alhamdulillah, we were able to spend about $1 million each year in the last 2 years in the youth development and programming. Should I wait? Okay, we have been, sorry about this distraction. So in the last 2 years, we have received more than $4 million. Just year revenue of 2023 was $2.5 million. It blows my mind to think that I started this from my kitchen, and we have reached here. And in last 2 years, we have received each year, we have spent each year about $1 million on just youth development. But it all started from this chamber. And that's what I want you to be proud of, that something that was your seed, Hilltop Tigers program, could not be here where we are today. These children could not be safe where they are right now. But at the same time, I also want to inform you that from Ohio Department of Education, for example, we received $1.2 million in 3 years grants, but those grants that we have from TANF side or state side, and now we are also going to receive a grant from federal government of $250,000. Most of these grants do not cover meals, they do not cover stipends, they do not cover the security services that we need, because our children are at highest risk as they have been shot during playing soccer games even. So some of these things are still not covered, and that's where City Council's support has really, really supported us big time. And I wanted to make sure that I list some of those items that we have 7 sites right now in the Columbus City schools in the Hilltop area. And in addition, we are also running a separate Hilltop Youth Soccer Club, which is 150 children in the program. The requirement for me to fund just the Hilltop Tigers program is about $500,000 for this year. And that is some of it will be covered with the academic programming, but most grants require us to do academic programming, whereas some of these children do not qualify for it. TANF grants that we receive require us to have social security number of these children. Some of these children cannot provide those social security numbers. And that's why we cannot even give them sometimes boots and winter coats and some of other things. So City Council support has really, really supported us big time. We are in need of some of the coverage for the Hilltop Youth Center rent, meals. Meals are bigger thing because hungry children are easy prey in Hilltop area. With the drug dealers and pimps on the ground, this is something that has really saved our children. Stipends, operations money for soccer, security services, my leadership program that Bashir Ahmed talked about, and in social worker. City Council provided us with a small amount of support for mental health counseling that helped us, and we combined it with another grant from the governor's office. We do not have those grants anymore. So support for a social worker in the situation where all of my children are traumatized and they have seen somebody that is their loved ones killed in front of them or have dealt with those situations. In Econ Elementary, none of our students, about 40 students of them, are able to concentrate on their reading and other programs because of the trauma that they see people dying in front of their schools, and they have gone through so many times that the time where there's a violence outside and they have to be in lockdown. So these situations are the situations that we would continue asking for City Council to support us. We are hoping that if we could receive some kind, somewhere around $500,000 for our program, we will be able to continue. Our ODE grant is going to be ending in September this year. That takes care of more than 200 children right now. So we are looking for all kind of other grants and support, and we will be looking at City Council also to support these children and many others that we are serving and mentoring them to become independent advocates and productive citizens for the city of Columbus. If you have any question, I'm here.
We definitely appreciate the work that you've been able to do on the west side, and certainly with My Project USA, we love the Tigers, and so we look forward to continuing the conversation. Have a great evening.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
As we know, this budget comprises almost 3/4 of the city's annual budget at $754 million. It is a lot, but as you can see, there are many, many different departments that are involved with keeping our streets safe and making this community feel like it is a safe place to live, work, and raise a family, and that is what all of our goals are. I want to thank Director Pashadi, Deputy Director Dan Giardella, City Attorney's Office, Office of Violence Prevention, the Inspector General's Office, the Franklin County Municipal Courts, Franklin County Municipal Clerk's Office, and everyone that participated this evening. There are so many facets to public safety. And as I said at the beginning of this hearing, it takes all of us to make a difference, and that's our faith leaders, clergy, the neighborhood leaders, to neighbors, to residents throughout our community. If you see something, say something. Go to wegotuscbus.org and take the pledge that you are committed to making our streets safer. We need to make sure that every street in the city and every neighborhood feels safe, and that is our number one priority. So I want to thank the council team who made today's public safety and criminal justice budget hearing possible. My aide, Avery Townsend, my analyst, Kaylin Pittman, and John Oswald from the Senior Legislative Research Office, and to the CTV team for their assistance in preparing for this meeting. And last but not least, I want to thank all the residents and stakeholders who have reached out to us in regards to this budget, and certainly for their participation in all that we do in the Public Safety Committee. We appreciate all of you. We hope you have a safe evening. Stay safe out there and have a great evening. This concludes today's budget hearing.